Am I the asshole for reminding my mom that my son is a child? My son was sick yesterday, and my mom offered to babysit for me since I couldn't miss work. For context, I, 30F, am a single mom because my husband passed away in an accident last year. We had 2 kids together ages 12 and 8, and my 8-year has severe ADHD and autism. Being a newly single mom, money has been really tight, and I do get state assistance, but not a lot, and my husband didn't have life insurance, so there was no money left to us from him. My mom and sister help me with babysitting if the kids are sick, or if there is no school cause I can't afford a sitter. The issues came when I told her I didn't have food to spare right now, cause I haven't been able to go shopping yet, and to please bring her own food, or be prepped to have to buy herself food, cause the food I have in the house is strictly for the kids till I can get to the store this weekend. We were all super sick last weekend, and I don't live in a town with a grocery store, and the closest one is a 30-minute drive. She said it would be easier to take my son to her house, than which I was okay with, but 8-year hates going to her house. When she comes to get him, he has a meltdown because he doesn't want to go to her house. I ask if she can just stay, and I can find a way to get more food before the weekend. She said no and insisted he had to come with her, and that made it worse. Now my mom has not great patience, but her and my sister are the only sitters I have right now cause they don't charge me much, just the gas to get here. Well, she lost it and started yelling at me and him that she didn't have time for this, and she had plans that day she canceled just to watch him. She didn't mention this to me when I asked. She also said, I quote, "I wish we could trade lives, and I could lay around and throw tantrums all day, and you can go to work, and just have everyone use you and take your money all the time. How much it must suck to be you, and do whatever you want while I have to do nothing, but take care of other people. I never borrow money from my mother, but my sister and grandma live with her, and they don't work, so I know she is under a lot of stress, and she takes it out on me a lot, calling me burden. Letting me know how much my tragic loss has affected her negatively. Calling me other names, or yelling at me for things my sister or grandma do. I didn't yell or argue, I simply covered his ears and looked at her, and went, Mom, he is 8, she lost it and screamed. F you then, miss work and lose money, I don't care, I am leaving, and then she left. Now she says she will not babysit for me again, so I can know true struggle, which if she follows through means I have to miss a bunch of work, or find a sitter I can trust that won't break my bank. So I am wondering, should I have cut her a break knowing she is under so much pressure, and I understand she is frustrated and needs to get it off her chest, but I feel like verbal punching bag, and I don't want my kids to have to deal with that as well. AITA. Not the asshole, but just a heads up, if you're in the US, your children should be eligible for survivor benefits from Social Security. Your 8-year-old may also qualify for services like respite care and possibly SSI benefits that would help cover the cost of an appropriate babysitter. Not the asshole. From what you have said, I can understand why your 8-year-old doesn't like going to her house. As another commenter stated, she's allowed to have her feelings, but taking it out on you and your children? That's not healthy. For anyone. Think about it. She won't help a struggling widow with a special needs child because you don't have food to spare in your house right now. So you can know what it means to struggle. If you can't or are unwilling to help, say so, but don't use that teachable moment as an excuse. It's absolutely cruel. And I would reach out to a church. They may not be able to step in and actually help, but the pastor and the elders may very well know of resources that can help you. Not the asshole. She is an adult. She's allowed to have her big feelings around other adults, but it's immature as hell and very damaging to take that out on an 8-year-old. You did the right thing in refusing to let her treat your child like that. For babysitting, do you have a church near you? They will probably try to convince you to join the church. That is unavoidably part of it. But they might have access to some kind of program to get temporary daycare access for single mothers. Not the asshole. In fact, I don't believe it's safe for your child to be left alone with a person like this. She has uncontrollable rage and resentment. Those issues are not safe for any child, especially one with special needs. To all the comments about Social Security, I had no idea about any of that, and will look into it. My MIL told me when he passed that they had life insurance for him, but it would all be used for the funeral. It was very sudden when he passed, and it really has messed up the last year of our lives tremendously, and I would like to say to anyone saying anything rude about my 8-year-old, not only will I remind you all that he is just child special needs or not, but he is child who just recently lost his father. I would ask that if you have anything ill-willed to say about a literal child, you save it for someone else. I'm sorry you're in such a difficult situation. For additional support, go to the Social Security office if you're in the U.S. Your children are eligible to receive assistance until they're 18. Good luck. AITA. My wife came home upset because she was hungry and I didn't have a meal prepared. Backstory: I, M32, have been married to my wife, F31, for 5 years. My wife has always made the meals, and I have always cleaned up for the most part. I have tried to cook for her before, but she just rejects it and tells me she doesn't like it. She keeps bringing up that I put cinnamon in scrambled eggs once, which I definitely do not remember doing, but she 100% believes I did that, so I am not going to argue with her over it. I work one 8-hour shift and two 16-hour shifts on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday respectively. She works a retail job and is there 5x a week with a varying schedule. She usually cleans up dishes on the weekend because I am not home to do them, and I have gotten upset in the past coming home Monday to a large amount of dishes from over the weekend. So what happened tonight was I was off today and relaxing while I waited for her to get off. In my head she was going to get home, maybe cook, and we'd hit the gym. Instead she called me and asked me to start cutting up steaks for Mongolian beef. So I do that and she walks in the door and tells me, "You're parked like an asshole. You couldn't leave me any room, I could barely get out." I ask her why she is so upset, and she said, "I am so hungry and I have to cook a whole meal after working all day." I respond, "You would have had to do that anyway and I would make it for you, but you hate my cooking and won't eat it anyway." She responds, "You don't even fucking try." So I went upstairs and started making this post, hoping to just give her some space to calm down. She came up crying a little bit ago. In my head it feels like she thinks I am weaponizing incompetence. In my own world that's not it. I know how to cook, but I'm not joking. Every time I have made something she didn't want any of it, and made her own stuff. I know she wants a hot meal after work, but I am just here thinking I was being respectful by listening to her when she says she doesn't want my cooking, when now she wants me to have food prepared. I'm so confused. Am I the asshole? Update. She came upstairs and covered her head, and any time I tried to ask her if she wanted me to get her anything to eat she said no, and that she will have sleep for dinner. I suggested takeout and listed places I knew she liked until she stopped saying no and said, "I don't know." So now I am here at a chicken place picking up her go-to meal. At this particular place. Update 2. I get 5 hours of sleep both mornings that I have to get up for work, sad and sun, if that, and I feel horrible on those days. I get no time to myself on those weekend work days and can never attend any weekend social events. By the time Sunday night quitting time rolls around I am dead. I'm responsible for all the housework during the week minus the cooking. I also deliver groceries whenever I run out of things to do at home, but this is on a if I feel like it kind of basis I drive for Spark. She gets to go home after work every night and sleep a full 8-9 hours. She doesn't really have to do many chores besides cooking. Update 3. Yes, I do all the chores except cooking. Every single one by myself. Very few exceptions. Her doing her own dishes on the weekend is one. When guests are coming or we have a party is the other. We talked. She was upset specifically because I ate at 5 p.m. without her. She wanted me to think of her and bring her something and eat with her even if it was some takeout or snacks. What if you had a snack ready for her when she got home? Something like an appetizer, veggies and hummus, chips and dip, cut cheese and grapes? She's going to be tired and hangry, that's a given. This way she can change, get off her feet, and have a little nibble while she regroups, and then start dinner. It might be helpful if you can do some prep work before she arrives. Chop, open cans, grate cheese, preheat the oven, whatever. I don't know what judgment to make, but y'all need better communication. Not defensively, but tell her that you don't want to make food if she won't eat or complain about it. That's understandable. She should be appreciative, and you should be at least equally appreciative when she cooks. But you also need to sincerely be willing to do some of the cooking, if she wants you to, particularly when she is working and you are home. This also means being willing to improve your cooking. Let her teach you, if she can do it nicely. And you both need to stop being so mean to each other. Not the asshole based on the above, but I have a feeling this is about more than just dinner. Gently ask if she's okay in general. Maybe something happened that she hasn't communicated. Info: were you parked in a way that left her room, or in a way that made it hard for her to park? Info 2. Is there anyone else willing to eat your cooking that would back you up about it being edible? Do you eat on the weekends when you don't do the dishes? Do you help meal plan? Do you help prep for her to cook, or help her cook? Would she say that you two have a fair division of other chores? Why can't you just eat your own leftovers for lunch if she doesn't like what you make? Wait, you've been married for 5 years, and you haven't bothered to learn to cook a single meal that your wife likes to eat? Am I the asshole for telling my mom to stop villainizing middle school? I am a single mom to an 11-year-old girl. I chose to be a single mother by choice using a sperm donor. My mom and I weren't always close when I was younger, but we grew closer when I became a mom myself. She ended up moving in with me and has helped me raise my daughter. In the early summer, I got a job transfer to a new state and my mom came with us. While the area we moved to is very nice, the issue is that the public schools are not great. Prior to the move, I found an all-girls private school. My mom was not thrilled with this. Both she and I were bullied as teens, and my mom always said teen girls are just the worst. She felt I was really opening up my daughter to be bullied. However, when I did more research on the school, and all-girls schools in general, I found there was actually less bullying and mean girl-ness. The school itself also seems to focus a lot on uplifting women and focusing on building up women's accomplishments rather than pitting them against one another. So, after my daughter and I visited the school prior to the move, I decided to enroll her. She started in September and she loves it so much. She has a lot of friends already and says what I thought was true. There seems to be less cattiness than a regular middle school. She says she has noticed some bullying between other kids, but it's not as much as she saw when she was at her public elementary school last year. She also says it's handled in a much different way. I'm glad she's enjoying it. However, my mom continues to be a negative Nancy on the situation. She checks in with my daughter to ask how school is going, but then will start on her rant about how preteen/teen girls are all so mean, they're the worst, middle school is the worst time ever. I've talked to her before and asked her to stop. Yesterday, my daughter got into an argument with one of her friends. It wasn't anything big, just typical preteen stuff that gets kind of blown out of proportion. I'm sure I had fights similar with my friends at that age. I was comforting her and validating her emotions, as well as giving her advice. My mom came home and asked what was wrong. My daughter told her, and my mom went on her tirade yet again about how middle school are the worst 3 years of any young woman's life, and you couldn't pay her to relive it. I shut her down and said my daughter had one bad day. That does not mean these 3 years will be bad. My mom kept insisting girls are the worst. I shut her down again and told her that isn't true. Even my daughter was telling her some things she's learned at school. My mom got irritated and told me that I am undermining her experience. I pointed out I had the exact same experience, but I'm not going to let it cloud my daughter. I told her later on that she needs to cut out the comments. She said again that I'm trying to undermine her experience and that I can't tell her how to react. Am I the asshole for wanting her to stop villainizing middle school? Not the asshole. Technically, I have the right to talk about my hypothetical hemorrhoids, but that doesn't mean it's helpful or appropriate to have that conversation with all people at all times. I was bullied throughout much of my school life, but I don't rant about it to others anytime the topic of school comes up. Your mom sounds like she needs some therapy to help her process her experiences, both for her sake and the sake of others. Not the asshole for protecting your daughter from a frequent trauma tirade about how what she's likely to experience the next few years is going to be a form of hell/the worst thing ever. It's not appropriate or helpful for her to be hearing that, especially repeatedly. Not the asshole. As my therapist once said, your trauma is valid, but that validation must come from within at some point. Trauma dumping it onto others will not solve shit. I love my therapist. Anyway, your mom's experience is valid, but dumping it and reliving it endlessly is not going to help. I learned from experience that whilst it is extremely sad, some people end up having something bad that happened to them define their entire life experience, and they are stuck in it forever. These are not people that end up bringing people up always down. Tell your mom to cut it out and get therapy to process her experiences and feelings with people who are trained to handle it. Not the asshole, but your mother needs therapy to deal with it in a healthy way. Unless she wants to end up resenting her granddaughter for having a better time in middle school than she did. Obviously not the asshole. Your mom needs to stop unloading her own emotional baggage on a child. Your daughter isn't responsible for holding space for her grandmother's middle school years, and she needed you to set that boundary for her. Your mother needs to figure out where she ends and other people begin. You're not asking her to pretend her middle school years were good. You're asking her not to project them onto her granddaughter and create a self-fulfilling prophecy. Not the asshole. Your mom is a misogynist. Am I the asshole for refusing to refer my brother to my workplace, even though my parents are upset? I, 24F, work in a high-paying job that I got through a friend's referral. I worked very, very hard to get here. I started applying like nuts after my graduation and worked since my graduation, which is around 3 years. I took this time to groom myself and become independent. I am the youngest of all my siblings. My dad has been out of a job for a couple of years, and it has been very mentally taxing on us since he was the sole breadwinner. I sometimes treat my siblings out to food and entertainment, despite being youngest, and I do that because I want to eat food, and I have to order it for them too because otherwise it seems unkind and selfish, even if the bill racks up 3x. My oldest brother, 28M, just finished his bachelor's after many years. He has no experience, doesn't apply anywhere, and spends most of his time playing games. He's also verbally abusive to me and often disrespects our parents. Recently, my mom and dad asked me to refer my brother to my job since it does not require a lot of experience and is mostly contact-based. She said that since someone referred me, I should do the same for him. She's clearly hurt that I hesitated, but I'm reluctant because 1. My brother is 28 and literally is the most careless person in this world. He has made no efforts for himself. 2. He is very verbally abusive when things don't go his way, and I just don't want to share professional space with him. I've literally tried helping him for 2 months to apply for jobs. I even created an email account and applied to all sorts of places, but no luck. I created the CV too. Still, I feel awful because my parents are heartbroken and think I'm being selfish. I love them deeply and understand their worry, but I just can't bring myself to risk my reputation for someone who doesn't even try. Am I the asshole for saying no? Edit, maybe. He can do a good job, but I am mostly mad at how he treats me. And gosh, I just feel awful about it. Firmly not the asshole. This is your job, never mix family and your work. Also, most companies do not allow referral for a family member, and I would lean on that. Not the asshole. A referral is a recommendation. You cannot in good faith recommend him as an employee. Not the asshole. Absolutely do not refer your brother. When you hire someone in a professional setting, you are held responsible for that person's mistakes. Listen to your intuition. You know that your parents are asking you to do something that could hurt your career and independence. Not the asshole. Just say you will refer him, and then don't. Tell them the boss told you he didn't have enough employment experience, and he needs to have more experience before they will consider him. It's about time your brother stood on his own 2 feet. I gave a family member a recommendation years ago, mainly on the back of his dad's work ethic. I assumed he'd be the same. First day he was late, second and third day he was sick. The next Monday he decided the job wasn't for him. Not only did I let the guy down who hired him, it also made me look like a right mug for recommending him. Not the asshole. You should move out.